Hello everyone and welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, a Microsoft MVP, and this is our weekly show that we do on Wednesdays at 11 Central. We've been doing this for a couple of years, just all about SharePoint and Office 365. I'm not a developer, I don't write code, so we talk about just all these other topics of things you can do in SharePoint just out of the box without getting really custom. And today's topic is going to be, we're going to talk about PowerApps and specifically galleries and tables in PowerApps and galleries versus tables and kind of how to work in those and get around. And I'll go ahead and get started and share my screen. And you guys, we have this chat window. iwmentor.slack.com is our Slack channel. So there is a hyperlink in the description of this YouTube video to fill out a form to request to be invited to this channel. And once you're in there, we use the Power Hour channel in there to have a conversation, ask questions, just that's the fun of it being a live show. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and show you my Power App. And probably just gonna start with a blank screen though, before I even share my screen. All right. So I don't want to get, I'm trying to do baby steps. So here we go. I've got Power Apps, and I've got this Power App with, several examples of things in it, but I want to go ahead and just show you some basics about what galleries and tables are and what they look like and how to set them up. First of all, we have our data. And so in this particular Power App, I have several different SharePoint lists that exist as my data sources. They're all pretty much in the same SharePoint site. And I have this SharePoint site over here where all the lists live. And the first thing I want to show you is I'm going to have this task list in my Power App, but I want to show you a trick because task lists and document libraries specifically are not going to show when you try to add them to your Power App. So that's the very first little tidbit that I'll show you is how to go ahead and add those even though you don't see them in the list. So the first thing we do is just to get the data into SharePoint is I've got this site. So I'm just going to give it the URL of my site right here. And see, it's going to show me all the lists and libraries in my site. But document libraries aren't going to show here, and some lists like task list and special types of lists like announcements, I believe, unless they just fixed announcements, aren't going to show here. But here's what you can do. You can just add one. So for my task list, I already added it to this app. I'm not going to add it again, but you just type the name of it and click connect. But if you have a space in the name of your list, it literally will not let you put like if you try to do the space bar, it just blanks out. It just unselects. It doesn't work. So you can't put a space in there. So here's the way that I went ahead and got around that is I wanted to put this statement of work library in there, and I just renamed it and put an underscore. So I just put SOW underscore library. I think it might be case sensitive too, but I'm not positive. So I went ahead and just typed it out like that with the underscore in the middle of it, and then it connected to it. So that's how you get your data into the Power App. And then once you have your data, there are, of course, you can display it in lists like a table or a gallery. And then, of course, you have forms that people can fill out to add and edit things to the list. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put the tasks on their own screen. So I created this just brand new blank slate of a screen, and I can insert the tasks. So they actually have a few different options now when you create a new screen. So you can actually start with a screen that will have a gallery on it already. So it gives you just a couple of things like a little toolbar and a gallery, and then you just plug your data in. But I'm going to go ahead and just start from a blank one. Okay, what do I want to put on the screen? I'm going to insert a gallery, and here's where I can pick from just some templates of what I want my gallery to look like. And then I usually like to kind of size it. Maybe I want to fill up the whole page, and I probably am going to want to have like a little toolbar at the top If I have screens with other toolbars on them like that, I can just copy and paste them over. I did another copy of the task gallery earlier just to try it out. All right, so it didn't give me the color, but it pasted this sort of shape over here. All right, and then I will go ahead and give that a color. There. Okay, so now I've got a gallery and it's here and it's got this like empty thing on top there. Insert, let me just insert my gallery again. I think I expanded it out and then it shrunk again. Blank vertical. There we go. I think it got confused because I didn't select any data and I just started to do other things with it. All right, what is my data? So I have the gallery here. By default, it has like this custom gallery sample that sometimes it will show some fake information, but I'm just going to go ahead and type. You're going to type the name of your SharePoint list that you pulled in as a data source already. So I've got tasks and then, oops, sorry about that. I've got tasks and then I need to like, wait a second. It looks like it's going and getting my tasks. And then I don't have a layout already, but it's just blank, so it doesn't have any fields. But within my gallery, I can go ahead and pick a layout, which will at least give me somewhere to get started, which will give me, you know, some lines, some arrows, some places to put text. So it's just a place to kind of, you know, have like a little shortcut to put things in there. Now notice that it's got some sort of fields in here, but they don't have data showing in them because it just picks some arbitrary fields from my task list. So what I want to do is go in here and decide what I want these to say. So I want the one that's bold at the top to be the one, you know, here, and then I can click on the one under it and I can say, you know, what do I want that one to be? That can be the due date. And then the third one is sort of a bigger box, and that could be something like a description if I had one, like the body of the task. None of these tasks have bodies in them. Maybe magically an elf will go fill in some description bodies for the tasks while I'm doing this demo. All right, so now you're not stuck with just a few fields that it shows you by default in here. And so I'll show you how to add some, but also keep in mind that when you're editing your gallery, again, this is a gallery, if you select down here, you're selecting the whole gallery and you have the gallery tab where you can do some extra things like decide how you want your navigation to look. So you're in this contextual ribbon having to do with your whole gallery. But when I select the top item in the gallery, see how it changes? So that's where I'm just editing. I'm basically editing what each of these individual items in the gallery will look like. Like I can take this and shrink it a little bit like that. See, they're all shrinking. And like this line that I have in between them, I can do things with it to make it, you know, look different. I could add something. Let me go insert an icon. Let's see. I'm going to insert have all these nice little professional looking icons that you can use in your apps. I'm looking for something that's more like a checkbox or something. Oh, there we go. That's good. So I inserted it. So you notice that when I insert it in this first item, it puts it in the whole, every row in the whole gallery like that. Nice, huh? Okay. So that's the whole gallery versus one item in the gallery. And then I can also go in here if I just want to add some fields to it. I don't necessarily do them over here on the right, but I can go to my Insert tab and just pick controls or text. So if I want to just display something about one of the other, you know, just one of the other fields that I have in my list, I can go ahead and just insert something else, just anything at all, and just arrange it somewhere. And then now that I have like this placeholder, that's where I can put a, you know, pick which field it's associated with. So this is going to show me the percent complete. So maybe some of these percent completes will have data in them too. Let's see. Joelle, hint, hint. Joelle has been helping me so much this morning prep for this power hour. Just I should have got you on the audio again, Joelle. It's not too late. We can add you in if you want to, but I was just too busy scrambling, like getting everything ready, and then just didn't even do that. All right, so we've got this percent complete. Now you could even do something like have a fancy box that shows different, different size or different color according to the percent complete. Maybe if we have time, we'll get into that. So I'm going to try not to go like off on a tangent or anything to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just stick to tables and galleries. Okay, so the gallery, again, it's very free form. So before tables came out, were introduced in May. Before tables came out, basically I would go into a gallery and I would just put like a box up at the top and type the names of some columns, and then I would just arrange things inside the gallery to make it look like they were in columns, because it's a big free form box. But when tables came out, then it does that part for you, and you don't have to worry about like every little pixel and dragging things and making them line up. It's just like a spreadsheet. It's nice. So I'll go ahead and move on to what a table looks like, and then we'll start doing a couple of other fancy things if we can. All right, let's see. I'm going to do another screen. Now I've got a couple of other screens in here of stuff I've already done with tables in them, and I might show you that in a minute, but I'll go ahead and do a different screen. So I'll do a new screen, and I'll do just a blank new screen and add a data table. When you're reading about PowerApps and researching PowerApps, you may notice the terminology table and the terminology data table, or basically the word table is used to describe this concept of like an array that you use within PowerApps, but a data table is actually a control. So when you're reading through like PowerApps documentation out on their website, that don't let that confuse you. So I'm going to click connect to data. So what data do I want to show in my table? And I'll go ahead and pick, of course, I've already got SharePoint. I've actually already got some lists and things in here. So I don't want to have to do that again. I just want to go to the ones I already have. That's so annoying. Have you guys noticed that it looks that even though you already have some data connections, it just it acts like you need to start all over every time you're like connecting to a new one? Instead of doing that, so here's a trick for that, is you just type the name of it up at the top. So I can just type like this library, this document library. There we go. And so that is your trick. Just go to the items property and just type the name of the data source instead of letting it take you and walk you through the wizard and everything like that. Okay. All right. Let's see. And Joelle, you can just ping me on Skype for Business or whatever if there's a question that you want to shout out, or I can throw you in here on Skype too. Okay. Thanks everybody so far. Oh, Ariel says, how do you handle lists with attachments enabled in PowerApps? Is there a control for the attachments field? I think that's something they know that is something that people want, and I think they're working on that. So believe that that's coming soon. Unless have they already announced that? I didn't see any announcement of that. It would have just been recently if they had, but no, it doesn't exist yet. Let's see. Yeah, so Christian, there are a whole bunch of templates that exist just when you're doing the file new screen. There are a bunch of Microsoft templates that have some really great examples. None of those examples actually use SharePoint. So when it comes to how the data works and looks, it's going to be slightly different when you're doing it in SharePoint than it is with like Google Docs or whatever is built into those, or Skype for Business. I mean, not Skype for Business, OneDrive for Business. But they're really great examples, at least around visually and around just ideas. You have charts. You can see how they build them. You can dig in and sort of dissect and see how they got a certain screen to look a certain way. Let's see. Nabil says, would accept the encoded value like library %20 name. I tried that earlier, but I didn't do it case sensitive right before Power Hour started. I didn't try it case sensitive. So one of you feel free. That might be something I have time to do. I'm going to try and kind of keep pushing on. But that it might have just been that I wasn't doing like the exact same case that I did for when I typed it in. But I did try the %20. It didn't work. All right, so when I do a table, then I'm presented with a little bit of a different interface though, right? So I can go basically pick between, just put checkboxes next to all the fields that I want to see in my table. So this is pretty simple now compared to what we were doing over in the gallery. That's so pros and cons around that. The gallery is very freeform, and you can pretty much make it look however you want to and resize things and just kind of arrange them wherever you want to inside of the little gallery cells. But a table is easy because you just check boxes next to things to get them to show in the table, and you don't have to configure every little, width of everything and every little nuance. All right, so I'm checking boxes to show certain fields in my table, and then next to each field I have this sort of little format thing that's showing me what format these things are displaying in. Like if it's a text, I can make it show view phone or view email, a couple of other little templates it has. And if I want to do something advanced and basically unlock something like one of the fields, I can go to the advanced options. I'm not going to do that yet. All right, so when I'm in my table, when I select up here, let's see, when I select each column, it's got this, I'm in this top row here, it's got this on select equals false. So on select, I can make it do something when I select that particular, when I click on that value in the table. And same thing with a gallery. And then I've got, of course, all these properties, just like the properties that I have for a gallery. And look at this, is hyperlink. So is hyperlink is going to be if I want, when I click in this particular column on the thing, do I want this to be a hyperlink, and it's true or false? So let's do true. So now it's a hyperlink. So let's see, let's go. And last time I demoed PowerApps, this didn't exist. But right now we have this nice little new properties pane that they introduced. So now every time I click to select something in PowerApps, it's got this properties page that used to be just like this big ugly properties, just all this sort of developer looking thing. But now it's got sort of a nice pretty interface that has really easy to read and understand verbiage in it, so that us non-programmers can understand what we're doing in here. All right, let's see, any questions? Nope, not okay. All right, and then the text over here is like, the name of the thing, and is it a hyperlink or not? So is hyperlink says yes, but how do I actually make the hyperlink do something? That's a whole other story. So what I'd want this to do would be to click on it and actually open the document itself. So I actually do have a column that exists that's called link to item. This is kind of slow here, hold on. See, link to item. So I've got link to item, which when I click it and let's just add it as a column so you can see what it looks like. Come on, doesn't like that one. Oh, I don't want identifier, I want link to item. Oh, it's not letting me select it. Okay, well the whole thing's just kind of frozen up a little bit over here on the right. That's okay. Okay. So the main differences between the gallery and the table just visually are going to be the table's just easier to make it just quickly look like a spreadsheet. And the gallery's going to be very pretty, and you can put the fields wherever you want to and rearrange them and move them up and down, etc. So you do have width settings on a table. It doesn't look like you have height. I'm not sure off the top of my head though. Let's see. It just has width and whether it's visible. So when you think about visible, we think about some of these concepts and the way that you can configure these. Visible is true by default, but what if I wanted to have some sort of condition? So that's where I could do something advanced, like if the project start date, or if the project is active, then visible equals true. If the project is not, and that would apply to the column itself. So just kind of think of, that's one sort of way that you can decide how your tables want to look and show or hide information. Let's see if I can get rid of this thing now. Yeah, this little properties pane is kind of funky over here. I did get it to show me the little link to item thing earlier, so I think it's just kind of being strange right now. All right, so let's go back to my task screen that I did earlier, and I'm going to go into my data and refresh this. And so now it's refreshing the data from SharePoint. So that's going to be like if you're developing in here and you're changing the data in SharePoint and you want it to look a certain way, and or you want it, kind of testing out with the way it's going to look in your Power App, that's where you can refresh and just get the latest information. Now I'll go ahead and show you a trick that I did, and I'll show it to you in this other screen. Now this is a screen, this concept I was building as a demo of an absence request form. So the idea was that you have like a master form and you have these child items, and the child items would be each of the different days you're going to be absent as part of that absent request. So it's like a parent-child thing. But I just wanted to show you this one thing down here. Now this is a gallery right here. And let me show you when I click play. I'll just show you this little one piece of functionality. I tend to go off on tangents, right? So when I change my department, it's actually filtering this gallery to just basically show the one person who is the VP for that department, who's going to be the approver. So that's just something fancy I did with a drop-down box and then a gallery that's being filtered. So this is a SharePoint list called departments, and it's just got a department name, and it's just going to filter this gallery down here according to what department I picked. So let me go back. All right. So so the first thing we're going to show you in the tasks is how do I make it show the picture of the person it's assigned to. And the first thing you need to do that is create one of your connections, create a connection to Office 365 users. So what you're going to do is when you go to your data here, see right here, I have created a data connection, and it's just called Office 365 users. So this is where you're going to get all your user profile information for all of your people. So you have all their information, like their department, first name, last name, phone number, picture, all that rich set of data to be able to use to control logic and things you do, or just filling out fields in a form. And this is one of the things back in InfoPath, back in the old days with InfoPath, that we used to do using the user profile service. And we had to create this web service connection to do the user profile service. And basically this connection is going to give us those same capabilities. All right. So you create the connection first. So that has to exist. And that's going to be, you're actually going to do that in the web. So you go like web.powerapps.com. And in the web interface, that's where you create all your connections, or you can just do it from right here and just go through that little wizard. All right, so once you have that connection, then what you're going to do is, you have a people field. So in this case, in this, for this department one, the people field is called VP, and it's a people picker, and I'll show you that in SharePoint. All right, I've got departments. So see, it's just a column called VP, and it's a people picker column. And then in my task list that we're going to try this on now, this is the assigned to field, and it is a people picker. So it has to be a people picker, or at least it has to be, yeah, it has to be, we're going to basically use that person's email address, and then it's going to go match that person's email address with, go find their profile, and then show you the picture of the right person. Okay, so this is the syntax that I use, and I'm going to copy that and over to the chat window for you. And so this is an image, so I'll go ahead and do this from scratch over in my other task gallery here. All right, I'm going to rearrange this a little bit. I'm going to take this and, let's see, move it over a little, and take this and move it over a little. This is way too wide. I don't need it to be that wide. Okay, and then I'll put an image here. So I'm just going to insert an image. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. Sorry. Image. So now it's just got this generic image placeholder. So this is where I'm going to say, what image am I going to use? And then this was a lot of trial and error on my part. It's not going to be VP like it was over in the departments list. This is assigned to. And you can see it's resolving my assigned to field. So let me go, I'll just Office 365 users dot user photo, see, like that, user photo, like that. And then, oops, let's see, this item dot, and then which field, so it's assigned to, where'd it go? Assigned to. Author would be the created by field, by the way. And email is what you need. So basically needs to know that person's email address. Now, this is not going to look very good if none of the people have pictures, and it's going to give you an error. So that's one of the things that, like, right before Power Hour, that I noticed that I was trying this and I was getting an error, and I was looking over at this other list of departments, and it's set up the exact same way, and it worked, and then the task list didn't, but it was just that all the tasks had been assigned to people who didn't have profile photos. So make sure, double check your data and make sure you actually have Office 365, SharePoint user profile pictures when you're doing this. So that's, so now, isn't that lovely? Now you've got these pictures of all the people that the tasks are assigned to. Now, another thing that we can do is do some conditional formatting. That's one of the, remember the old days? Have any of you been around since I started doing, when I was doing data view web parts, and I had all those data view web parts I would do, and one of the big things that people love doing with data view web parts is conditional formatting. So I know that you guys love conditional formatting, so I'll go ahead and show you how to conditionally format some things in here as well. And thank you, Joelle, for refreshing the data. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, that's a little awkward because the body of that kind of stretches below. There we go. You definitely want to put data in all your fields when you're building these too, because you can't really see what you're doing unless you can see some text in there. And I probably don't want that body of the text stretching all the way over. So you can see that Joelle has put some % completes in here. Someone said they're struggling with SQL tables as a data source. So someone's basically, now I've never used SQL tables as a data source in here, but what I have done is, what they're asking about is, you're joining two tables and you want to see an overview based on two or more tables. So what you're going to do is you're going to, and I can show you another example of this that I have. I might have done it in Power Hour, I'm not sure. It was called branch audits. And in my branch audit demo, I had a gallery and I was pulling in, all I was doing was conditional formatting on each of the items based on what was in a related list. I wasn't necessarily pulling in data and showing it, but it's possible. So you can do it. I just have to go flip over to that one. I'm only half an hour in, so I might have time to do that. So maybe Joelle or somebody can help me remember. I have all these things now that I'm trying to remember to save for later so I can stay on task. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now I've got their picture showing. So now in InfoPath, in PowerApps, you have, of course, this is an icon, and by default it says on select. So that means if I click on the icon, do I want something to happen? Well, I don't necessarily want something to happen when I click on it. I want a color to show differently according to a certain condition. And you can use RGBA codes, but you can also just type the name of a color and it will change your color. So in this principle that I'm about to show you for this conditional formatting of this icon can be applied anywhere in PowerApps with all these little, see all these little color, disabled border, color, disabled fill, border color, all the things that are colors in all of your, basically when you go to the advanced properties of anything, you have all these different design elements here with all the different ways your colors can show. So you can have colors when things are hovered over, colors when things are clicked on, colors when things are just, so as you can see, you've got like 10 different colors you can possibly configure. You'll notice in here that some will say like title5.border color. Well, the name of this text box, and I'll go over here to this lovely new pane that I love. This text box is called Title 5, so it's basically just saying I want the pressed border color to be exactly the same as just the regular border color. So that's how you can like sort of copy and make one mirror across so that so you don't have to go configure every single box. And that's the way a lot of them are by default. So you'll notice that already in there. Okay, let me move that a little bit. Okay, so I want, based on the task's status, so hopefully, Joelle, let's see, get some tasks, some different statuses in here. So I'll go ahead and complete a couple of these. And maybe Joelle can go in there for me and make a couple of them in progress or something. I don't know. But basically, I'm going to say, I'm going to use conditional formatting that where it lets it look differently based on if it's completed or not. So that's the first one I'm going to do. So I want my default color to really just be blue, just regular old blue. So if the status is equal to completed, then I want it to be green. And I can actually show and hide a whole different icon too. So we'll do that next. So this will be the conditional formatting episode 2. All right, so the color is going to be, instead of just having it blue, I'm going to do if. And I recommend you picking from the drop-down box instead of, because sometimes they're case sensitive. So if what? If, I think it's called task status. No, status. Status. Okay, go find it. Sorry about that. It's not task screen. What is that status field called? Let me go show it on here if I can. So instead of this, I'm going to show the status. I'm just going to show the word of the status. Data. And this is the one selected. Oh, it doesn't have status. Oh, come on. I think status is a choice field, so it doesn't show it in here. I wonder if I just change it to not be a choice field, if it will cooperate. Let me just do that real quick. Or I'll just create a different field, either way. They've been doing so much work lately, by the way, to get these to like all these different field types and list types to be compatible with PowerApps, and they're just been, it seems like every week they've got new stuff coming out and new work they've been doing to incorporate all those field types. So it looks like that's just one of the residual ones. So task status, and where it says field equals status, so the actual name of that is status. So I did that, and I will go back to my Power App, and let's see. All right. Oh, I got to refresh my data, right? Just like when you're working in SharePoint Designer doing workflows, if you go change a field or add a field or something, you need to go refresh your workflow, you refresh SharePoint Designer. Well, same concept in here. It's just one of those things to get used to. So let's go see if this shows now. Status, yay. I guessed right. Okay, so there's the status. So it's this item.status. All right. So now I can finish my if statement. If status, come on, there we go. If status equals completed. Oops. Then what color do I want it to be? Then green. Just pick green. Otherwise, just like any if statement, just like in Excel, then otherwise I want it to be purple. I don't know. I'm going to do red. Red's going to be different ones. Red's going to be like overdue or something, I guess. Look at that. Isn't that cool? All right, let's go preview it. And look at those tasks. Oh, look, it's overlapping here. So yeah, always test that with your data, filled out all the way to make sure it's not gonna look funky. All right, so yeah, so that looks a little weird. I'll just move this over, and I have to do that in the top one, remember? So I don't necessarily need to show that in here to be able to use the conditional formatting. Just keep that in mind. Let's see. Carolyn says, can you mention or something like how to connect to the Office 365 user properties? Carolyn, that's just one of the connections in here. Like when I go click add data source over here, that's just going to be a type of connection in here. See, it's just called Office 365 users. And if you haven't connected to it before, then you just click new connection and you pick Office 365 users. So that's all that is. Okay, so now let's see, what if I want to show a checkbox if it's completed, but I want to show like some other icon if it's overdue or something like that. So I can actually insert a different icon, and we did the same way back in SharePoint Designer, DataView Web Parts with conditional formatting. You could do this too. You basically insert multiple icons just all on top of each other in the same spot. And then you just show and hide. You just toggle the hidden is true or false. You just toggle that based on some condition. So what if I want to do like, what's sort of like an exclamation mark or something like that? Oh, I can do this one. Let's see. There, I'll do this star. And I can put it right on top, and then they're just going to show and hide according to a certain condition. All right, so now I'm gonna take this and I want it to be a different color. So I will go to my fill up here and I'll make that red. So the condition for this one, basically the condition for this one showing needs to be the opposite of what the condition is for the other one showing, right? So this one's gonna be visible. So visible, the value just needs to be true or false. So it's just going to be about creating a condition to show or hide it, the visibility, make it true or false. So if status is not equal completed, and what is and? Chris, what is and in here? And 2 ampersands. Okay. All right. Is not equal to completed and due date. Do I have any in here that are overdue, Joelle? Can you go double check that too? Joelle's working double time right now with this test data and answering you guys' questions. And due date is less than today. Then true. Wait, is visibility is true, otherwise false. Let's see if I did that right. No. Invalid number of argument status. Blah, blah, blah. True. Others false. I'm probably just missing a parentheses or something in here. Oh yeah, I put the parentheses in the wrong spot here. There. Oh, look at that. Okay, so none of them are overdue because all of the stars disappeared, right? Oh, Fausto says, Joelle says Chris Rogers for the win. All right. Fausto says the only things with PowerApps are cascading drop downs and repeating sections. So that's what you can use for repeating sections though, Fausto, is a table or a gallery. So let's go do a couple of these same principles in a table, and we'll come back to this in a minute. And we didn't exactly put a condition to show or hide this little checkbox, right? So I would also have to put a condition to show or hide this checkbox little field if it wasn't already overdue. So that's another little missing piece that we just didn't complete yet. But I want to go back over to the table, and I also want to point something out in here, that all these little names of things in here are pretty ugly and useless. So I highly recommend going in here and renaming all of your screens and even your fields. So you can't rename the screens on the actual thumbnail view of the screens. You can rename everything over here in this tree view. So I can rename this screen and call it doc table or something like that. All right, and then all of these, it looks like a lot of these controls in here they do have good names. They have useful names that they match the fields, but a lot of the times you have these sort of arbitrary ones, right? Oh yeah, Carolyn Coy said she was trying to create a Power App to add a video and then upload it to stream. Yeah, that's like a whole other, that's a whole other power hour. All right, let's see. Joelle's saying, oh, you guys are so funny. Joelle's giving me the comments from YouTube. I forgot to tweet about this power hour too. How did you guys even find me? All right, so you've got this overdue one down here. So notice that, just like I said, I didn't do the opposite condition to hide this box if it was overdue. So I'd have to go add like a condition to the onVisible thing for this other one as well. I'm just not going to do that yet. All right, so let's go back over to this data table, and I wonder how I can do these hyperlinks. Let's see. Chris sent me this link. Chris is the power behind this power hour, because he's the one that knows a lot more about some of this stuff. All right, it won't open it because it's trying to get me to log in the Power Users community. Oh, it's so annoying. Let me see if I can open it in a different browser. There we go. Oh, it's launch. Look at that. So that's all we needed to know was launch. So I'll copy that. Wow, thanks, Chris. Okay, so hyperlink is true, which will make it a clickable hyperlink. And then on select needs to be launch. And see, I'm clicking on the column that I want them to be able to select. I'll just paste that, launch this item dot, And that's going to be like link to item, I think. No, it's not working on, it's not working in this table here. Interesting. That must have been from something else. I thought that seemed too easy. So on select is going to be, what happens when you click on something in here. Like if you want to navigate to something or make a box pop up. So that's going to be whichever row somebody clicks on. Also, all the same concepts with conditional formatting are going to apply in here. So you can actually conditionally format, in the gallery, you can conditionally format just that whole box that, for that row, that piece of data. But in the table, you can conditionally format that whole, that row according to some value in the row. So let's see, I've got, let me add, ooh, it doesn't like project start. That's okay. So this is one of the fields that, like when you have a lookup field and you bring across extra fields along with it, it doesn't like that one. All right, that's fine. Let's see, I'm going to do a conditional format thing in here. And basically you're going to see that the concepts are exactly the same. You just have to decide what you want to conditionally format. So like I can do fill. So what's the fill? What happens if I type red? Oh yeah, it actually changes it as I'm, whoa, that's ugly. Fill, so I can do fill like gray. Okay, and then I can do a condition. Hover color, when I hover over something, a certain row, say, notice I selected this whole table. And again, this value just needs to be a color. So if, let me do the capital I, oh yeah, if, let's see, if name, were you going to say something? Oh, okay. We'll do that on the next Power Hour. That sounds pretty cool. He figured out a multi-select thing. So I just need the name over, like this name right here. Let's see, if name, where's name? Maybe it's this one. If name equals. That's why it helps to name all of your controls correctly, because I'm typing something and I have all these things called name and name underscore one, and I don't know what, what really I'm picking here. And let's see, then I want it to be green. Otherwise, I want it to be gray. So the result just needs to be a color. Yeah, see, that didn't work. It didn't like that name thing. I will do created instead. Color. Where did my color go? Oh, I see I selected a column now instead of the whole table that I had selected before. So then it got confused because I wasn't like contextually selecting the whole table anymore. So now I got to select the whole table. And another way, if you're trying to select something, this is a good tip for you guys to remember. If you're trying to select something in PowerApps and you can't click on it, you can't select on it, maybe it's even like behind something else, you can go over here and just select it. See, I'm selecting data table 3, and so now there's my hover color. So let's go see if it worked though. Let me go push play. It's just supposed to be a hover color. So yeah, that's what the hover color would be, is I have it as gray, but it's not doing that condition that I set up for it. But the hover itself is working, it's just gray. All right, so there's my whole table, and then my down here, there we go, the table itself. So doc table is what I called my screen, which was a stupid name. I should have called it document screen. And then my data table is here. So that's what I've got selected. All right, so if, I think I'm just doing the name incorrectly because it's the name of an actual file in a library. So I'm going to do if project And this is, let me double check what this field with this control is. This is called, look, see, project_1. So that's the right one. So I had to double check that. So if project1 contains, ooh, how do I do contains? I'll just do equals. Then green, otherwise, and you can tab, by the way, to make it select the first thing that it's got showing in that little drop down. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like my equals. I'm sorry. All right, well, I'm not going to go too long into that. All right. Yeah, the guys who have programming backgrounds in the chat window are stating about, you know, it being such a pain about naming everything, but you get into the habit of that. Like when you're doing programming, you get in the habit of just giving things proper names just as you're going. All right, so what are some other things that we can do with galleries and tables? Oh, filter a gallery. I think we already did a power hour about filtering a gallery, but I can just do a recap. So basically, the way that I did it over in that other, see, in the other screen, remember it was a gallery, and the gallery was set up to just basically show one item where the department is equal to the department they selected. So I'll go ahead and show you that, because this same concept is what you're going to use when you're doing like cascading drop downs. All right, so this is, so right now I have, see, it says gallery up here, so I know that I have the gallery selected. And also over here, it says department gallery because I named it correctly. So that's what I have selected. So that's how you can double check that. And then it's filtering. So what is it filtering? It's filtering, it's showing the department's data. Let me just copy this real quick. I'm going to show you how I built this. So this is just, if I just type departments here, it's just basically going to show me all of the departments listed in this gallery. It's not filtered. Of course, it's a very short gallery, so it's only as high as one department. But to add a filter, and this is again, the same concept you're going to use in a cascading drop-down box, because it is also a list of items. So what do I want to filter? I'm going to filter to show departments. See, filter, and it says my source up there, where, and then what is the logic that I want to do. So what equals what? So the title of the department needs to equal the department they selected over in this drop-down box, right? So I need to know, basically I want to go look at this drop-down box. So I actually gave this a name. See, I have it selected. It says drop-down. I gave it a name, and it's over here. It's like, I can't tell what's selected over here. Sorry about that. No, it's not it. Sorry. It switched me to another screen. Hold on. Just trying to select this and see what it's showing me, because it's really odd looking with my resolution here. Card department. Data card. That's really odd, because it usually, when I select something, it just picks it for me over here. Card department, and then department is in the card. You guys are, maybe you guys can see this better than me. It's just my resolution. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Oh, okay, so department picker. See, I named this field, and that's why, so naming it department picker, sorry it took so long, makes it easier for me to be able to use it in a formula. So I have this name department picker, and the items in it are the departments. And so having this useful name is going to make it so that when I'm building logic that needs to point to this, it's going to be helpful. So let's see. So department picker is going to have department value. So look at what I did here. This is a little extra hidden field that I had to add in here. And I'm using this extra field to just basically temporarily store the thing that they select in the drop-down box. And that, when I was building this, that was the easiest way for me to build this logic to show the gallery. I couldn't get it to dynamically show it just directly from the drop-down box itself. So I have this hidden field over here that's just a hidden text box. The hidden value is true, but it's just defaulting to show the value of what I have selected in the department picker. So it's department picker dot selected dot title, because you know in SharePoint when you have a lookup field, it actually stores it a little bit differently, right? It stores it as an ID or a big long cryptic OData string. So this is just, what do I have selected in the dropdown, and what is the title of that field? So it's going to be the name of the department in this case. So I'm using my department value hidden field to basically to use that filter in here. So filter it where the title of basically of the department equals, and remember it was department value, not department dropdown, dot text. And again, lookup fields in SharePoint are just really complicated the way they store the data. So this was my workaround to be able to have this extra, have that little extra field that nobody sees. It's just holding on to that information. I also did the same kind of fun over here with having this form default to my name when I fill it out, and default to my department straight from Active Directory, and default to my phone number. So all those are things that I did with that O365 users thing. That's going to be for another Power Hour though. So I pretty much stick to the plan here. So we've got 3 minutes left. So this is a quick recap of what we built today. We built a screen. And in that screen, we pulled in a task list from SharePoint, and we put a few fields on it. We put an image on here, which is actually going to show the SharePoint image of the person in the assigned to field. And we did some little fun with conditional formatting, basically showing something in a different color according to a condition, and then actually showing and hiding a whole icon according to a condition and what that would do. Another thing we would need to do with a gallery is decide when they click on this arrow, where does it need to take you? So we didn't build any forms or anything like that, but this would be the on select. You would say, you would tell it what to do, like navigate somewhere, start a new form. So that's the gallery of tasks. And then the table that we created was on this other screen, and I just basically pulled in a document library, and I'm showing some fields from the document library, and we talked about how we can do conditional formatting, or just basically, formatting of what you want, what color you want the hover color to be, or when you select a row, what color you want it to be. And then you can do an on click. So on select, so that would mean once they click on a particular project, then what do you want to happen? Probably in the real world, I would actually insert a button or make it look like a hyperlink so that it looks more like something you can click on, but technically you can just click on a row and it will do whatever action you specified. So yeah, inserted. See, notice that unlike a gallery, with a gallery, I can insert something in the top row and it will just show it in all the ones below, but this doesn't work the same way. So that's why this is hyperlink is going to be really helpful, because that actually lets the end users know that clicking on it will do something. So then you could, give it a hover color, give the hyperlink a hover color, and things like that people are used to, so they'll know to click on that. All right, that was your overview of tables and galleries and PowerApps. I hope you liked it. Some of it was prepared, some of it was on the fly. We had a couple of things that we were going to save for the very end, but maybe we'll make a note of those. couple of them we took care of. But Joella and I are going to compare notes and figure out what our next PowerApps topic can be. And thanks everybody for coming. I'm not sure what our topic is for next week. We have an ideas channel though in the Slack app. And so I highly recommend you go put your ideas in there and go vote on other people's ideas, like do the little thumbs up, stuff like that. All right. Thanks everybody. Over and out.